There we go. Hey, Lab Coat Agents, it's Tristan, and we've got Dan. Dan, thanks for setting this up. Appreciate it, man. He's our communications and marketing director. And today we've got Hassan Riggs here, second time on. Hassan, appreciate you being on, buddy.
Yeah, man, I love it. Love it.
And today we're going to be talking about how to have or give a really high-end luxury experience to your clients, even if you're not a luxury agent. And so the last time Hassan and I talked, we went deep into a lot of the processes involved in nurturing your clients and taking them from step A to step B and making that process really seamless. And I have a feeling, Hassan, that we're going to continue through that. So before we do that, can you give a quick intro as to who you are and your experience?
Yeah, no problem. So first of all, I want to say that I'm getting over the flu. Well, actually, I had the flu. I'm over it. But now I just got this like really dry, persistent cough. And it sucks. So you just got to bear with me throughout that process. But so my name is Hassan Riggs. I'm the founder and CEO at SmartAlto. I'm also a former inside sales agent. I'm a contributor for Forbes. So I write about real estate marketing, real estate technology trends, how to set appointments through text message. I've spoken at Inman, spoken at NAR, and I say all that not to impress you, but just to impress upon you that you're in really good hands today. We're going to have a lot of fun. One of the things we're going to talk about is my background. I don't know if you. So one of the things that Tristan mentioned earlier is that my background is somewhat eclectic, right? So I started off as like an ISA back when I was in college, but then I did outside sales. I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I've worked in the hospitality industry. I've did digital marketing. I've done sales. I worked in politics for a little while. So I have all these different experiences that kind of come together. And one of the things we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to share, is what I learned doing digital marketing for some of the largest luxury brands in the world about how to create a wonderful experience for people. What I dub the M&M experience, the magical and magnetic experience, and how I've kind of taken that, my past learnings, brought it forth to SmartAlto and to the real estate industry to just consistently grow and grow and grow.
I love that, dude. Now, before we get into this good stuff, you mentioned when we were just on the webinar portion of this that your wife is an FBI agent, right?
Yeah. She works for the FBI. She's an FBI analyst. She's an analyst.
Which is even better. So that's awesome. And then her father was working for the IRS before.
As a special agent.
As a special agent. All right, cool. One of our agents, Kathy Waters, actually did the same thing, which is really cool.
Really?
Yeah, so they would have some good stories. Now, as I was mentioning this, I was telling Hassan, I'm like, dude, when you guys gather at the Thanksgiving table, your stories probably suck in comparison to theirs.
They suck. They suck, man. And so when I first of all, like her dad is a really intimidating guy, right? So he's like,
oh, that's terrible, man. That's even worse.
6'5", 250. He's been shot, he's been stabbed, he's been kidnapped, held at gunpoint, you name it. Like all of those things has happened in his life. And so, he's got some really fun well, maybe not fun stories, but interesting stories, crazy stories, I think is probably the best way to put it. Really crazy stories.
Dude, well, just wanted to start off with that just to give a little bit of a backstory on that, because I love that part.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it, dude. How can we, as real estate agents, mortgage brokers, and everybody else that's joining as escrow and title people here, how can we have this process of making sure that we're treating the clients like we feel like when we go to Nordstrom, or like a luxury experience? Because I think a lot of people are really scared of seeing Zillow come into play, Open Door, and all these other companies that are going to come into our world in the next few years. Yeah. And they're scared because a lot of people are saying, well, they're going to take a lot of our business. But I think that only helps us in our world here to differentiate who we are. And the best way of doing it is the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah, dude, go right ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen for a second. And the first thing I kind of want to I kind of want to drive home and share with everyone is that the old consumer is shattered and gone forever. It's never coming back. The consumer, like if you've been in the business for 20 or 30 years, or even the past, 10 to 15 years, or even the past 5 years, the American consumer specifically has been so distraught. They've been so fatigued. You had the web.com bust in the 2000s. You had the financial bust in '08. You have all of these worldly events that have made people more skeptical. And what has emerged is a much more stingy consumer, a much more skeptical consumer, and someone who you're going to honestly just have to work more diligently and harder to build that trust. Remember, one of the things we spoke about last time is there's a direct relationship between speed and trust. So when people trust you, the transaction speeds up. And so you have to work to build that trust. And so if you're wondering why your transactions are slow, why things aren't happening the way they used to happen as quickly, your conversions are going down, it's primarily because there's a lack of trust there, right? Because that old consumer is gone, dead forever. And what has emerged is this new consumer. So let's just talk about that for a second. We all know what happened in '08, '09, 2010, when everyone kind of had this phone in their hands all of a sudden.
Yep.
And so the important thing isn't necessarily the reimagination of the phone, but more importantly, what people could do with the phone and the type of experience that it ushered in to our world, where you have this on-demand experience, which is no longer a luxury. It's really table stakes now, where people, like Tristan, when you go out and you want to order an Uber, you click a few buttons on your phone and now you can track to see how long it's going to take for that Uber to get to you. Same thing when you order Domino's pizza.
Man.
Yeah. Did you eat Domino's or Papa John's or what? What do you eat? Do you eat pizza at all?
Yeah, I love pizza. I like Domino's or Pizza Hut. I like both of those.
Okay. So when you go to Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, even those companies, they tell you how long it's going to take before your pizza arrives. Because what they're trying to mimic is the on-demand experience. Even Amazon, over the holiday season, you saw Amazon next day, Amazon same day shipping in my area, right? And so so you're not just competing with the local real estate agent down the street, you're competing with the experience that really large companies have made me, you even, and others accustomed to. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The second thing is no one's thinking about you. They're always thinking about themselves, right?
That's true, dude.
People are so self-centered, especially the American consumer. They want and they expect the experience to be about them, not what's easy for you, not what's practical for you, but what's easy and what's practical for them. And it's really hard to make things simple. You have to think about it. You have to strategize. You need a goal, you need a strategy, and you need a way to measure your success. And the final thing is that this new consumer has become really fatigued, because there are too many overlapping brands with not enough differentiation. How many agents are in your local market, Tristan?
Here I've got about, dude, let's include LA.
Yeah.
Border. So I'd say there's about 40,000 of us here.
40,000 agents in your local market. How many of them are actually producers? They sell more than 10, let's say more than 10 homes. However you define that, what would you say?
At about just under 1,000.
Okay, so of the 40,000, you have 25% who are actually doing well, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then of those, I wonder how differentiated those specific agents are, because agents in general have done an awful job at showing how they are different from the next person. What's their unique value proposition to this specific homeowner who's looking to sell or home buyer? And so now you have these consumers who are looking around. There's so many brands that are overlapping, and you got, Walmart that's trying to sell luxury goods now, right? And so there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace around that. And so that's just like to set the framework on what we're talking about today around who you're really competing with. The first thing that I want to share with you before we kind of dive into the luxury experience, again, my name is Hassan Riggs, founder, CEO at SmartAlto. I used to work at one of the largest luxury brands in the world, right? I used to support those brands with digital marketing, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But before we get into that a little bit, I want to talk about the Fortune framework. So I want you to think about the Fortune framework is really a business audit. I don't care who you are. If you are in the real estate mortgage space, you're a business owner, you fall into one of these 4 categories when it comes to your paid advertising or the experience you're trying to create. And so the y-axis says conversion, right? So conversions can be high, conversions can be low. The x-axis says the number of leads that you're bringing in. You can bring in a few leads, or you can bring in a lot of leads, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have, I want you to think about this as a business audit, to not only think about where you are, but also what you need to get to the next stage. So if you have basically 0 leads coming in and no conversions coming in, then you've really got a hobby, not a business, right?
Dude, are you even? That's what I'm asking. Come on.
You got no business, man. You got no business being in business.
That's right.
And what I call this is, what you really have is a D-cubed problem, D-cubed problem, where really you need the desired direction and discipline to know what to do, how to do it, and then when to measure yourself. So your desire is your goal. What's really your goal? What's your mission? Why are you getting up doing this every day? Even with your lead generation, right? What's your goal for accomplishing this? And then your strategy. Your direction is your strategy. How are you actually going to accomplish your goal? What's your technology strategy? What's your go-to-market strategy? And last time I was here, Tristan, we talked a lot about go-to-market strategy, but you also need a technology strategy. Who are you using to help you execute against these things? And then the discipline. This is where a lot of people fall short. My mom told me when I was young, if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to measure. If it's important enough to do, it's important enough to measure. Because our job, go ahead.
That's solid, bro. Thank you. Yeah. I love that. I love your mom now, dude. That's solid.
Mm-hmm. Well, she was always like, so my mom is a pharmacist, and she would always say, when she went to class, she always took notes. Because she's like, if it's important enough to be here, then I need to learn something when I'm here. So I need to measure. I need a way to measure my success. And so you talk to a lot of agents, I'm sure, Tristan, like on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and they're doing things and they say, okay, well, this isn't working. The first question I ask when someone says that is, okay, let's talk about your numbers. And you'll be surprised by how many people just don't know their numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, how do you know it's not working or it is working? Don't know.
That's one of the things we talked about with our team. We were reading the book by Jeb Blount. It was Fanatical Prospecting.
Fanatical Prospecting. Do I have that up here? I definitely have it. Yes, I got it somewhere in my bookshelf. Fanatical Prospecting.
Well, you said something that he says exactly in his book, and that's when people come up, the salespeople come up to him and say, well, calls aren't really working for us. And he says, yeah, okay, let's do this. I want you to track everything from now on. And he realizes that these people that say that it didn't work, right, we're really only making 5 calls an hour. It's like, there you go. That's your problem. You suck.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
You hit it right on.
Problem. You need the desire. Well, again, D cubed, the desire, direction, and discipline to know what to do, how to do it. That's your strategy, and then the metrics to measure yourself, right? And so when I talk to a lot of people, if they don't know their metrics, then we kind of start from there. This isn't to condemn anyone, right? But now that you have the knowledge of this, you can get better. And that's what I really want to share. Okay. So going back to the fortune framework, if you have very few leads, but you have a lot of conversions, you have high conversions, you've got a sales and marketing problem. You need to get more leads into your funnel because your conversions are really good. You've just got a unique value proposition problem where you need to focus on learn to get your own leads that are coming in, or pay someone to get you leads. But that's your sales and marketing problem. If you have a lot of leads coming in but very low conversions, you've got a PPS problem. People, principles, and systems. People, principles, and systems. Because when it comes down to conversion, that's what conversion really is. You either need people, principles, and systems, and you can't give people systems without principles, because then you've just given them chaos. If you give people systems without principles on how to guide those systems, on how to work those systems, you've ultimately just given them chaos, because there's no objectivity, there's no scalability to it. And that's when you have people who have real problems growing. It's not predictable, it's not scalable, because there's no principles that guide the way they think about using these tools and these systems. There's no principles with your follow-up, there's no principles with your lead conversion, there's no principles with your business, and so you're screwed.
It makes a lot of sense, dude. You have a lot of teams that are starting off, or people that want to build these teams or businesses, but the challenge that they find is that they lack systems to be able to scale. So they're always stuck at the very beginning. Very good.
Always stuck. And then finally, if you are crushing it, right? So you got a bunch of leads, you got high conversions, whatever your goal is for that, then you need to test, iterate, and duplicate. You need to test to see what's working. You need to iterate on the things that, like, within your systems, continue to test and learn, and then you need to duplicate the things that are working and ultimately remove the waste. So you're never done. Even if you're crushing it, there's always a level that you can go to, right? So you're never done. You can always kind of move forward, move up, get better, continue to grow, evolve, learn, adapt, grow, evolve, learn, adapt, grow, evolve, learn, adapt. Because when you stop growing, learning, evolving, and adapting, then you're dying, you're losing, and ultimately you'll be left behind.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we find in any industry, all across sales and building businesses. I think you forget, as you're growing, you're like, oh, there's so much to do. And then you forgot what got you there, because that's sometimes where all the money is. You know, you need to double, triple down on it. You get so scattered. It's easy to do, man. I've done it.
Yeah.
But I think going back to what's working, you make a really good point, which is you continue to test, right? You iterate, like you said, and then you duplicate. You keep on working on what's already working.
For sure. So let me kind of tie this into SmartAlto. When we talk about like principles and like, you know, DQ, like direction, discipline, and metrics, direction, discipline, and the metrics that you need. When I was in ISA, I developed this principle to qualify leads. It's the same thing we do at SmartAlto. Now it's called the banter principle. So when we talk about PPS, the banter principle is what we use, the banter principle. The B stands for budget. This is how we qualify leads. So taking a step back, when we talk about the goal, our goal at SmartAlto is to set 15-minute phone appointments on our clients' calendars. The strategy that we use to do that is the banter principle. And then the metrics that we use to understand, are we winning or losing, is what percentage of appointments are we setting on the calendar? And so the banter principle, this is something you can use in your business. You should be using this, right? The B stands for budget. What's their budget? Are they $150,000 buyer, or are they more like $3 million? What's the average price range in your area? It got to be.
Here in Westlake, it's about 800,000.
How far are you from Calabasas?
I am 5 minutes.
Are you serious?
It's right here. I can look out my window and see Calabasas.
So you're like right there where the helicopter went down.
Yeah, dude, we're literally here. Actually, I live in the city that he has his gym, so it was a big impact for us. You know, Kobe. Wow. We're talking about Kobe Bryant. So the Mama Academy The guy who creates all of my stuff for Tristan and Associates and Lab Coat Agents, he creates all of Kobe Bryant's jerseys and everything. So
Are you serious, man?
we would always see his crew inside there, and right, because the Mamba Academy is next door.
Yeah.
So, dude, the whole town over in Newbury Park is like, wow, it's a big impact on everybody there.
Wow. You're freaking right there. I didn't know that, man. I didn't know you were that close.
Yeah, we're right here, dude. He was flying into our town, so it sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. So, R.I.P. Mamba.
Yeah,
so budget 150,000 or 800,000. Like, kind of where are they? Authority. Is this person an actual decision maker in the buying process, or is it like mom and dad who's looking for their 23-year-old son who doesn't have a job? Like, you want to be talking to someone who can actually make a decision, especially when you deal with Facebook ads. You'll have a lot of people who come through who are like, oh, I'm looking for my friend, or I'm looking for someone else. And right, you want to talk to the decision maker, because if you're not, then you're kind of wasting your time. The only time that there's a little flexibility in this is when you have a grown person who's looking for their elderly parents. Ultimately, they may not own the house, but they're still probably the decision maker if their parents are elderly, right? Need. N stands for need. What's their needs, wants, and expectations? They need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a 5-bedroom, 7-bath. What are their needs, wants, and expectations? A house with, with a yard and a great school district. T stands for timeline. 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. When are they looking to buy? Helps you prioritize that person in your mind. A stands for area. What area are they looking to buy in? Newport, Calabasas, downtown LA. Helps you frame it. Can you even help that person? Is this a person you want to help? Do you know downtown LA? When's the last time you've actually been there? R stands for relationship. Relationship with agent, relationship with lender. If they don't have a relationship with a lender, they haven't been pre-approved. If they already have a relationship with an agent, a signed buyer's agreement, not like I got a friend who's an agent, but a signed buyer's agreement, then you can't help them anyway, right? Now, in your market, you may not need to get people pre-approved. If you're talking to somebody who works for Google and Facebook, before you go show them houses, maybe you don't need to go talk to my lender first. But if you're dealing with a lot of first-time home buyers in like Birmingham, Alabama, then you probably need to just use some emotional intelligence around that. But that's the banter principle that you should be using.
That makes total sense, dude. I think I love how you ended it with relationships, because that's really where it all starts. If you start with, I'm trying to create a relationship out of this. And I know that's the last time we had this conversation, you did amazing, where it just all revolves around that.
Yeah. It all revolves around it. So let's talk about now getting into kind of what I learned when I was at Hilton, and how you can create this magical, this really magical and magnetic experience for people. So because a lot of it has to do with, some of it has to do with a few of the things that we spoke about earlier, right? So understanding your goal, understanding your strategy, understanding how you're going to measure yourself, it kind of all starts there. But when you think about the M&M experience, the magical and magnetic experience, when I did digital marketing, I supported the Waldorf brand, I supported the Conrad brand. And so you have people from all over the world who are visiting these luxury brands, and they expect certain things. And so as a part of my introduction to the Hilton family, I was fortunate enough to go get training from like the lead trainer, basically the person who is responsible for training staff at these luxury places. He used to be at the Ritz-Carlton, used to be at the Four Seasons. Now he came over to Hilton to support Waldorf and Conrad. And he talked about these 4 principles. He talked about how these 4 principles are all anyone needs to know when it comes to developing a luxury brand, even if you're not talking to a luxury consumer, because the things that I'm sharing with you can be done to first-time home buyers who are buying a $150,000 home. That doesn't mean you want to give them a crappy experience.
Well, I think that's what sets apart the companies that are going to survive into this whole new world that we're in versus the ones that are in it now, right? I think everyone's going to need to treat their clients like it's a luxury experience, giving them that service that they really want.
Yeah.
And like you said, dude, you said something that was so key earlier on, and I'm just doing it off of memory. So you said something around, like, we're not competing against, we're competing against the experience that the top companies are giving. We're not competing against these local markets anymore.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, man. And that's true with everything. So, just think about if I'm a local hardware shop and Walmart comes to town. Walmart has put so many local businesses out of business because they ultimately end up competing with Walmart on price. And that's just a battle you just can't win. So you have to be more strategic, and you have to think about, what experience do you want to create for these folks? And so maybe when Walmart comes to town, you don't lower your prices, you increase your prices. You give people a more luxury experience. When people walk in, you say, hey, Tristan, how's the family? I know that you just bought that hammer last time you came in. Let me show you this new hammer that has glitter on it, or whatever, right? You increase the experience that people have. You improve the experience and ultimately give a magical and magnetic experience. My last boss I had when I was at Hilton, he came from Disney. Talk about someone who knows how to give a magical and magnetic experience. And he wasn't just like a person who worked at Disney. Oh, I'm just there. No, he ran important parts of the experience with Disney. When you go there, Disneyland, Disney World. So we talked a lot about the experience that you create for people. And right now I'm going to share the 4 main things that I learned from my time supporting really luxury brands on how you can create a magical and magnetic experience for them, even if you're dealing with first-time home buyers or first-time home sellers, right? Or even renters. How do you create that magical and magnetic experience to keep people coming back? The first thing is you need to be highly anticipatory. You need to be highly anticipatory. I'm going to give you a hospitality example, and then I'm going to share a real estate example for you, okay? Highly anticipatory. You need to anticipate the needs of the client. So when someone pulls up to the Waldorf, to the Ritz-Carlton, what's the first thing that the doorman is going to do? He's going to walk up to the car. He's going to open the door. Yep. And then the second thing he's going to ask is, do you need help with your bags? Well, if you're coming to a hotel, you're probably staying overnight, right? So you probably have bags, right? So the logical thing to ask someone to start a conversation is, do you need help with your bags? I'm being highly anticipatory because I'm thinking about not only the first problem that you have, which is opening the door, but next issue avoidance, which is, okay, I just opened the door. The next problem that you're probably going to have is help with your bags. So when you think about this in the real estate, and like in a real estate scenario, think about the expectations that you're setting for someone, being highly anticipatory, and you set expectations. So someone goes to your website, and if you have a little website chat up there, you are setting the expectation that people can chat with you. And then if you're never available, if you're never there, and every time they go back, you have this little Zen desk that says, be back tomorrow, or not available right now. You've ultimately that's the equivalent of someone pulling up to your luxury hotel and you're just sitting back, just kind of like, I hope they don't need help.
And that's what a lot of agents do, right? That's what a lot of business people do. They just kind of just chill and are just waiting and don't really create this magical experience from the very beginning.
From the very beginning. You don't get a second chance to create a first experience. When I played basketball. We talked about this earlier, Tristan. Like, I played basketball in high school and in college. The best asset that you have is your availability. I was decently talented, right? But if I was always hurt and I was never around and I was never there, I can't help my team. So does it matter that I'm talented?
Nope.
So if you're never around when a new lead comes in, if you're never available when the client picks up the phone and wants to call you to talk about a specific issue, if you or your team can't help them when they need help, your greatest asset, I don't care how talented you are as a real estate professional, your greatest asset is your availability. So if you're never there to help, you've improperly set expectations and you've basically stripped yourself of your greatest asset, being highly anticipatory.
Yeah, very true. I love that you put that there, man, that we highly anticipated. I'm going to take you one step further on that so that you understand how to do this.
Yeah.
I think that most salespeople in general, they lack the ability to take time to create what that looks like, right? So just take an hour a week, 2 hours a week where you're sitting there and you schedule the time and say, well, look, if I'm a buyer or a seller, what am I anticipating, right? That my agent does for me, and how can I go above and beyond that? Let's itemize that.
For sure. I love it.
Check mark list, right?
I love it. I love it. I love that. It's very, very practical, very easy to do. Like, we're not talking about, you don't need a PhD in mathematics to do this. All right, this is something that all business owners need to be thinking about. And if you're a real estate professional, then you are a business owner. And one of your first and important jobs is to understand how you should use your resources, your time, your energy, your money. How should you deploy your resources? Well, if you're not tracking what's working, if you don't have an understanding of the buyer's journey, if you don't know how people are engaging with you, what they expect, if you don't know those things, then how are you going to improve?
Yeah.
It's just going to be really hard. Second thing, personalization. Personalization blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. So so one of the benefits of working at Hilton is that you get to stay at some really nice properties.
I bet.
And so I've stayed at the Waldorf in Beijing and Rome. I've stayed at like some really, the Waldorf Astoria in New York. Stayed at some really nice properties, the Conrad down in DC. And it just blew my mind that the first time I went and I kind of introduced myself and I went up to the counter and said, hey, yeah, my name is Hassan. I said my name one time. Every other person that I walked by who worked at that hotel, how you doing, Mr. Riggs? I was like, what is going on? I felt like I was in the Matrix or the Twilight Zone, right? And most of the time we think that personalization starts and stops with knowing someone's name, and that's not true. Personalization starts even before the person arrives at the hotel, right? Personalization starts in part by understanding what people expect from you when they're looking to do business with you. And then when that person shows up, you're able to understand how you can engage and interact with them. And so it's not just knowing the person's name, but when someone tells you they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then your job is to create an experience that shares your knowledge about what it is that they're looking for and some of the things that they may not have thought about. So when someone says they want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath and they have kids and a dog and etc., your job is to customize an experience to let them know, A, you're actively listening, B, you're personalizing the information that you're sharing to and for them, and then 3, you share things that they may not have thought about that's unique to their experience. So, for example, if someone comes and they say they want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and they want to buy in a specific area, your job is then to come back and educate them about that specific area and what may impact them, right? And how it's going to benefit them in the future. Or maybe they need to look in a different area which has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and there's a new commercial property that's coming up that's going to likely increase the value of homes in that area pretty soon. Because now you really go into this teaching mode. The more widely available the knowledge and advice you share to people, the less valuable it is on its face. And so if your information that you share with them can be easily found on Google, it's not nearly as valuable to that person as sitting down, understanding their needs, wants, expectations, and then sharing helpful things with them to help them ultimately reach their goals. That's why you should start off every conversation with, what are your needs, wants, expectations? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish here? Because that helps you not only get them to talking, but also you begin to pull out information that's important to them, which helps you personalize the experience for them, not only now, but also in the future.
That makes a lot of sense, man. The personalization goes very far.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think it's just, oh, I know your name, or no, it goes much farther than that. And it's really the foundation. Like, being personalized is really the foundation of building relationships with people.
Well, I think that's true. And I love how technology now is allowing us to personalize a lot of things through AI, right?
Very true. Very true.
So, I mean, Dare with dynamic ads for real estate on Facebook and Instagram, that's the first thing that came to mind when you talked. I'm like, whoa. The more that our clients engage on Facebook, on their IDX feed for the MLS, the more that it sends them those properties, like if we're actually picking them out for them. So it's part of it. But I think with what you were saying is right on.
You have technology that can help you in a lot of these ways. Again, PPS, people, principles, and systems, can help you with a lot of these things nowadays. Attention to detail. I don't even know how deeply I have to go into this, but if you're not paying attention to detail and the things that people say to you, someone tells you they want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you're sending them 2-bedroom, 5 baths. Someone shares with you that they're really interested in a house that is going to increase in value over time, and you're sending, but the area that they're telling you about is actually maybe stagnating, and you don't do your job and helping and educating them and teaching them about the market, because you got to understand, people are in their own world. They're not real estate experts. Right? You are. So it's your job to help them work through these nuances of the deal that you're structuring for them. It's your job, because that's part of the value that you're providing to the client, and attention to detail is a foundational and fundamental principle of that. And if you're not doing it, you're definitely missing the boat. I think at times we all think that we are more self-aware than we actually are.
I think that's very true, man. Attention to detail. I think that's one of those things that you can put right back into really the anticipatory part and say, well, what are the things that the client is looking for at that point? Maybe I can create a checklist that goes along with this so that I don't miss any of those things. We recently went, so we're recently looking for a place to host LCA Live, our yearly event, not our one-day events. And I went to the Lowe's in Hollywood.
Great.
That's right where they're directly connected to the Kodak Theater where they hold the Oscars, right? So I go in, and because we have a meeting there, and then before we had gone in, they want to make sure that they're paying attention to details. So they sent me a form to fill out really quick. What's my favorite drink? Who's my favorite sports team? Lakers, right?
Yeah.
And some other questions like this, like, okay, I'll fill this out. I'll play their game. So when we show up, they've got like my favorite drink, right? They gave me a cap, Lakers.
Are you serious?
Oh, no joke, dude.
Wow.
Over here. So they're going the extra step by paying attention to the details that they got from me because they asked, right? It's just like, oh, now I like feel guilty saying no to them, right?
Yeah.
They paid attention.
Yeah. What did we talk about last time? Reciprocity.
Oh, that's right.
Reciprocity. And think about this. You're talking about spending tens of thousands of dollars with them because they gave you a hat and a favorite drink. So they spent $30, $40. But one of the things we talked about, one of the things that we talked about is what you give does not have to be into proportion to what you ask for. Remember, you can give something really small and ask for something really big.
Yeah. And
that's what they're doing to you. And it just works, man. It's like, because now, like, you're human. You're a human who has human needs. And part of that is like, man, these people really went the extra mile for me. Like, they're probably going to put on a great event. If they're doing this for me now, think about how they're going to impress my guests when they come.
Yeah, I agree, man. Right on. Attention to detail is so key to impress people.
Yeah. And then reading clients. So this is the one that really struck me the most when I was going through kind of all these learnings and putting this presentation together and thinking about all these things is going to a hospitality example. When someone shows up and the doorman opens the door and they say, hey, opens the car door and they say, hey, do you want me to help you with your bags? And they say no. The absolute worst thing that you can do is now try to convince that person that they need help with their bags. They just told you no. So the principle of the luxury experience says, read your guests. What's the next likely thing they're going to need? If they have their bags, they need someone to open the door. So how about I go open the door for them? You see how that is understanding not only the current problem that they have, but also the next problem they're likely to have. If you've done any amount of transactions, you know the 50 most common questions you get. So why don't you already have Loom or BombBomb videos explaining some of these things that people have? And then when someone asks you a question about that, it can be just automated and you can just send it to them. You can have it in a drip campaign sequence about, hey, now that you're my client, here are the top 3 questions that people ask, and I want to walk you through this. You could have one for first time. You can have one for luxury buyers. You can have, right? Because now you know the things that people are going to ask.
Yeah.
So you're reading clients, right? You're not just figuring out this stuff as you go along, but you have your goal, you have your strategy that you know how you're going to execute on it, and you're measuring yourself, and you can tweak it. You can tweak your customer experience because it's important for you to know the entire buyer's journey and basically the funnel. What hiccups are they having? When you send them to this lender, are people always coming back to you with more questions, right? As opposed to when you send them to another lender and you just feel like they always come back more informed. What's their experience? Because the experience, trust me, the experience that you give them matters on how they perceive you and the experience they have, and whether it's luxury, whether it's not. Highly anticipatory, personalization, attention to detail, reading clients. That's all important.
I agree, man. I agree. This is good. So out of these 4, would you say that it's in that order, or how would you categorize those?
So it's one of one of the things that I'll think about that and kind of answer that question is they're all fundamental principles. They're all things that you absolutely need to do This is not a list of like 50 things. It's a list of 4. If you're working to prioritize things, work on your personalization first. Start there. It's going to be more natural to you, because with personalization, you're going to be able to use your EQ, and remember, EQ is greater than IQ. Your emotional intelligence is going to be able to kick into play a lot with personalization. Is going to go much farther than you just knowing that person's name, but it's going to include a lot of these other things, because if you're doing personalization right, you're also paying attention to detail. You're also, reading your clients. You're also, highly anticipatory. I will say this, that you can start with personalization. If you are generating online leads, you need to be highly anticipatory, because when those online leads come in, we all know speed to lead is important. People were saying 5 minutes now. I think that's shrinking down even more.
Yeah.
This on demand is coming up. So at SmartAlto, we respond to all leads within 2 minutes. With website chat, the new product that we launched with, is still relatively new, only have like 100 people on it now, 100 agents and brokers on it now. We respond to leads in 15 seconds. When they go and someone chats on their website, a little pop-up, whether it's mobile, we say, hey, we're here to help. Do you have any questions? My name is Alex. How may I help you? And we're there, and we respond to those leads in 15 seconds, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Why do we do that? Because we want you to be highly anticipatory. That's why we do it.
How do you work seamlessly with the agents? How does your system work together with them?
I don't think we've ever even talked about my system on that, from that front, have we?
We haven't. You're always coming from a point of value, so I just wanted to get a better idea of what is it that SmartAlto does that we should be looking at.
Yeah, so we have real people. First of all, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We have real people, not artificial intelligence or AI, but we have real people whose only job is to qualify your new leads and set 15-minute phone appointments for them, whether they're coming from your website leads and you've got like great SEO in your area, or you have an IDX and people are going to look at your website, or whether you're getting leads from Facebook, Zillow, Realtor.com, it doesn't matter. Our real people will convert those leads into 15-minute phone appointments, and quite literally put that phone appointment on your calendar. So you wake up in the morning and say, hey, I've got an appointment with Tristan today at 1 and Tamika tomorrow at 5. Oh, I see, right? Because we have access to your calendar, and we can set the 15-minute phone appointment. But it's a really transparent experience where we customize different scripts, and we can change what we say based upon the lead source and the lead type. This is, let me see, this is one of our clients, and just like their website chat, right? So when someone goes to the website, whether it's on mobile or whether it's on the desktop, you could pop in, and Alex right here will pop up. This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to kind of get those leads to come through. And one of the most important things about website chat leads specifically is they are more bottom of the funnel, ready to transact leads, because they are reaching out they're on your website, they're reaching out, and they need help. And so you have a lot of people who go and hit on website chat, and they'll say, I want to see this property, 123 Main Street. Can you show it to me today? Or can we talk about a listing appointment, right? So we just see those website chat leads convert at a much higher rate, simply because they're just farther down the funnel. But we take on leads from over 200 sources, regardless of where they come from, and we qualify them and set 15-minute phone appointments for folks.
That's good, man. I like that.
Yeah, great.
Do you so on the chat side, so that chat that pops up on the website?
Yeah.
Do you guys automate a lot of that, or does it go both ways, where it's like AI or some type of automation, and also some type of like real person texting back and forth? Does it go between both? So
the first message that when someone goes there, the first message that pops up is automated. or it'll say, hi, how may I help you? And then when they respond to that message, we will reply to them within 15 seconds with a real person. And so that real person is there. And the reason that's important is because we want to be able to represent the brand identity and brand voice of the agent in their local market. And so that's why we customize the scripts for folks, and we can represent them the way that they want to be represented in their luxury, in their market, whether they're luxury or whether they're first-time home buyers. Again, using the banter principle to find out the budget, authority, need, timeline, area, and then relationship with agent or relationship with a lender.
Got it. So it sounds like the difference between, let's say, SmartAlto and some other companies that are out there as well.
Yeah.
Is on your approach, right? That's what sets you apart, would you say?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things, because I do have somewhat of an eclectic background, and I've had these different experiences, which I think, obviously I know the real estate space because I used to be an ISA and I've set over 10,000 appointments, but I have these different experiences which help us and my team kind of approach the market from a different angle, which ultimately helps us set, 300-400 appointments for agents all around the country and Canada every day.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah, man.
I love that. So you bring your experience into the way that this works so that you can help this magic happen for us as well on the back end. Yeah. And I think that's just a really important part of why I still lead product for our team today. I'm still, obviously actively involved in just kind of what the product experience is, how it looks, how it feels, and what the end experience is for the home buyer or the home seller. 'Cause that's just a really important part of the DNA of our company as we, just continue to grow in 2020. I love it, dude. Thank you. Well, any closing words? Because I took some notes here. As you probably heard me typing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Great.
Right,
I love it.
I took some notes. I'm always taking notes, by the way.
I love it.
To them.
My mom would love you.
Actually, that was one of the things I wrote down. If it's important, if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to measure.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I had to write that down.
Yeah.
I took notes on some of the other things that you said here too. But to me, the thing that stood out where a company like yours, SmartAlto, can come in and help us is what you said towards the beginning, where you said, and then I wrote it down here, it says, you're competing against the experience that the top companies are giving. Mm-hmm. You're not just competing against your market competitors. Mm-hmm. And I repeated that, this is like the second or third time, because, dude, you hit that like right on.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we're hearing these agents say, well, look, I'm concerned about this so-and-so agent. I'm like, you're missing the point. That is not, you're living in a whole different world.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you're competing against Amazon. Mm-hmm. Even if you're in real estate, you're competing against everybody that's out there that has our attention.
Yep. You're exactly right. Mindshare.
Yeah. So dude, that was beautifully said. Thank you for that. And you always bring some amazing content. We had some great things from people here on the Facebook side of it.
Great.
And any questions out there, just ask, and I'm sure we can answer them. But
yeah.
Is there anything you want to leave us with, man? Obviously, where do we find you? Are you on Instagram? What's your website?
Oh yeah. So a couple of things, Tristan, if you don't mind, I will talk about this a bit because, I have a Facebook page, Hassan Riggs. That's where you can find me. But one of the things, and I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe Dan could post this if I post it in the group later. Yeah. But one of my goals this year is to write right now, obviously I'm writing for Forbes, but I want to write and become a contributor for Inc. or Fast Company. That's one of my goals. My strategy for doing that is not only like writing good content, but also increasing my visibility on Google specifically. And so what I've been asking people in my group is that if they have found any of my presentations helpful, would they please just review me on Google and just say something nice about the presentation or something that you learned? Because when I submit my proposal there, people are going to Google me and I want good stuff to come up, right? Yeah. So my goal is to write for Fast Company or Inc., my strategy is not only to produce great content, but also to have a lot of social proof. We talked about that last time I was here, having a lot of social proof. And the metrics, the way I'm going to measure myself is, at the end of the day, am I getting some interest from these publications I want to write for? And ultimately, am I successful in being able to contribute for them this year?
Dude, I love that. Can you do me a favor after we're done? Can you text me that link?
I would love to. Yes, I'll do it.
And I'll post it up once, because once this is done, we're also going to go into Ads Manager to put some money behind it.
Okay.
So we'll put that at the very top too. Great. And I just reached out to one of my friends. Her name's Christine Haas. She's she used to be an anchor on TV, San Diego.
Wow.
And
wow.
She started then her own PR company.
Wow. Right? Yeah.
And
yeah.
You know, digital marketer.
Yeah.
Right?
I do. Ryan Dice and the entire team. Yeah.
He was the marketing person, the PR person for Ryan Dice and Digital Marketer.
Wow.
So I just reached out to her. I'm going to have you two connected. I'll text.
I would love that.
You guys can talk, and she might be able to help you out on the Inc. side and maybe Fast Company.
I would love that, because I know you're really connected with DM. We talked about that last time.
Yeah, dude. Roland is a good guy. He's been on our show a few times here, and he's a huge supporter, and we love him. He's an amazing dude. So Ryan's awesome too, and Perry Belcher is.
Yeah,
Perry's a very interesting gentleman.
He is, man. He's
like the life of every party.
Oh, Perry Belcher, man. I've been following him since like 07, man, 08. It's crazy. I have, man, because him and Ryan used to do a whole lot of things together, a lot of stuff. Yeah. That's actually how I found out about Perry, is through Ryan.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. Back when Ryan had the $1 million napkin, when he came out with that and the continuity blueprint and all that stuff.
I love that, man. Well, for those of you listening in and you want to know who these people are, just Google them. Ryan Dice, Roland Frazier, Perry Belcher. You can find them.
Yeah.
Digital marketer. But Hassan, again, dude, I'm sorry it took me so long to bring you back on. That was all. But I promise you it won't take me as long for the next one, okay?
No, I love it, man. I love being here. You've built a great community, man. And it's just really impressive, the community that you've built, because it's really hard to do. It's really hard to build a great community, and I think that's just where the world is going, because ultimately Facebook has told you that that Facebook and the future is private, and communities matter. And so, you building this community has just set you light years ahead of people who don't. And so if you're an agent out there and you don't have a local community on Facebook or Facebook group, you need to do that, because I believe and I predict in 5 years, 6 years, Facebook newsfeed will be going away, and Facebook is going to be a bunch of communities, and privacy is going to be really important and a part of that. So it's my prediction.
Yeah, I think they're gonna shift into something new, man. I agree. If they want to continue to grow and have everyone's mind share, they have to shift a little bit, because everybody's angry.
Yeah.
Well, you just got some more people loving you, dude. There's one on the webinar here. Felicia Brown says you killed it. So great presentation, she says.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, dude. And on the Facebook side, you have a whole people loving you too, man. So thank you for being on, Hassan. Send me that link and I'll post it up, and then I'll connect you with Christine Haas. She's the PR person for Digital Marketer.
Perfect, man. Love it. Thank you so much, buddy. Look forward to it.
Thanks for being on, bro. I appreciate you.
I'll send you that link now.
Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.